The human had no name in the Empire's records. To the alien courtiers who eyed him with contempt, he was simply the stranger, a captive soldier who had survived the slaughter at the fields of Zareth. Among the thousands who had fallen to the gleaming legions of the Lithari, only he remained, shackled, bruised, and carried before their empress. But fate had not chained him to the throne. Instead, he was bound to her, the empress's only daughter, Princess Elira. A bond of strange diplomacy. Some called it, others whispered of punishment. For Elira had long refused suitors of her own kind, scorning their wealth, their strength, their arrogance. The empress, angered, had declared, "Then take the one who is least among us, the broken human who stands beneath your throne. Let your pride taste humility." The court had roared with laughter. Elira had tilted her head, her silver hair tumbling like a waterfall of starlight, and agreed. Thus began the strangest union the Empire had ever witnessed, the alien princess and her silent human husband. He spoke little. He moved carefully, as though each step across the golden halls of the palace was weighed with danger. He carried scars across his chest and back that Elira often mocked in public. And yet, there was something unshakable in his silence, a strength beneath still waters. Elira, who loved to provoke, laughed at him often. She called him mute soldier, stone statue, earthborn fool. He never answered, but his dark eyes followed her with a quiet intensity that unsettled her far more than she would admit. For days she tried to break his composure with words, with tests of pride, even with cruel games before the court. Yet the human endured. He did not rise. He did not bow lower than he must. And that silence, strangely, began to draw her curiosity. One night, when the court was gone and the palace lay quiet, she found herself staring at him in their shared chambers. His chest rose and fell with a calm rhythm of sleep, the moonlight catching on the scars across his body. And for the first time, she wondered, not how to break him, but what had forged him. Middle, the awakening. The truth revealed itself not in chambers, but on the battlefield. The empire was vast, and rebellion festered on its edges. Elira, restless and eager to prove herself, rode with a guard to suppress an uprising on the storm-racked world of Karos. She brought her human husband along, a decision meant to amuse her soldiers. "The mute will carry my banner," she had said. But when the ambush came, laughter died. The rebels struck with fury, their weapons charged with stormlight. Elira's guard faltered, falling one by one in the rain-lashed canyons. And when a blade was knocked from her hand and the enemy closed in, it was he, the silent human, who moved. He seized a fallen weapon, its hilt foreign yet familiar in his grasp. Lightning cracked across the skies as the blade hummed to life, whispering with energy. And then, with the grace of someone long forged in war, he fought. Not like the Lithari, who favored elegance. Not like the rebels, who relied on rage. His style was raw, brutal, efficient. Each strike a promise of survival, each movement honed by desperation and memory. The blade sang in his hands. By the time the storm cleared, Elira stood breathless among the dead, her human husband at her side, the sword still glowing faintly as though remembering the storm. She turned to him, her lips parting, her heart racing with something she had never felt before, fear and admiration, and longing, all tangled together. "You," she whispered, "you hid this from me." He met her eyes. For the first time, his lips moved, his voice low but steady. "I hid nothing. You never looked." From that day forward, Elira's laughter was no longer cruel. She still teased him, but softer now, as if each word was a thread weaving them closer. She watched him when he thought her gaze elsewhere. She found excuses to speak to him in the quiet of gardens, to ask about the scars on his body, to listen when he finally offered pieces of his story. And in those stolen moments, she discovered a truth deeper than duty or war. His silence had always been storm waiting to break. Climax, the storm inside, Months passed, and the bond between them grew. Not all approved. Whispers in the court turned venomous, accusing Elira of lowering herself to the level of a human. Some even plotted to remove him, to free her from shame. The attempt came one night, cloaked in shadows. Assassins slipped into their chambers with blades of void steel, swift and silent. But the storm had already been awakened. He rose before they could strike, his sword singing once more. Elira fought at his side, their movements unspoken yet perfectly in tune, as if they had been destined to fight together. When the last assassin fell, Elira stood trembling, her blood hot, her heart pounding in a way no battlefield had ever made it beat. She turned to him, her husband, her protector, her storm. The words left her lips unbidden, torn from somewhere deeper than thought. You awaken the storm inside me, now quiet it with your lips, human. And this time he did not remain silent. He closed a distance between them, their lips meeting in the fire-lit shadows, sealing not just a union of politics but of hearts, ending the whisper of fire. From that night onward, they were no longer mocked. For the court soon learned that the human's blade whispered fire, and that the princess who once laughed at him now stood at his side, fierce and unshakable. Together, they quelled rebellions, navigated intrigue, and bound two worlds that had once been sworn enemies. In the songs that would one day be sung across the stars, the tale was told not of conquest, but of a storm in the silence that gave it strength. And in the quietest verses, only whispered between lovers and dreamers, there remained that single, fateful confession. You awaken the storm inside me, now quiet it with your lips, human.